Hey, welcome everybody to another episode of Public Safety Connect. This is the second installment of the public safety departments here in the city of Prescott reaching out and informing our citizens a little bit about what's going on. Today we've got a pretty exciting show. I want to introduce to you our guests. We've got Scott Ludeman right here, our Division Chief for Professional Services, and Amy Sloan from our Police Department to talk about our Pink Patch campaign. When we get into that, I'm going to cover real quickly an update on our ALS transport contract. So some quick things about AMR and Lifeline, who is our transport provider here in the city of Prescott. We've been working over the last 3 months or so, updating the contract that we have for them for pre-hospital care and transport services here in the city. And we've partnered with Lifeline. They were a company that came from the Prescott area and then were bought up by AMR for a very long time. Now with that, growth in the Quad City area, as well as things that are happening over at Central Arizona Fire and Medical Authority, have caused us to look at our relationship with Lifeline in detail. And that entails a couple of things that I just want to cover with you real quickly. Number one, we're increasing the number of designated ambulances that are available on a 24-hour basis here in the city of Prescott. And that is to make sure that we have adequate response times and we're able to have a growing city covered with EMS resources the way it should be. A couple of other things that are really important, I think, that you should know if you're watching this show, is that we're also looking at increasing our capability on the department to be able to provide patient transport as well. So starting next calendar year, we're looking at debuting our first what's called a rescue ambulance. And we won't be billing for transport. I think that's very important for you to understand, nor will we be taking over for Lifeline. But we're providing that resource so that when Lifeline is busy and when we have system surges, that we're able to reliably have other transport resources in the city to get patients to and from a scene to the hospital. And so those are some things that are very important for me to mention. In addition, I think the most exciting thing that we'll be doing in this contract is looking at increasing the measurement and improvement of patient outcomes. It's much beyond just response times that we're interested in. We really want to make sure that the resources that show up on scene are doing the right things, delivering high quality medicine, and that we're seeing patient outcomes and patient experience improve here in the city. Stay tuned over the next couple of weeks as we'll be taking that contract to the state. The Department of Health and Human Services has to approve that contract. But the big news is that Lifeline and AMR and us have come to terms with what we'd like to see. And now it's on to hopefully the last phase, which is DHS approval. We'll keep you updated through our normal social media channels as well as other mechanisms as well as conversations with council. So please let us know if you have any feedback on that. But with that, let's get into an exciting episode today. Got a couple things to talk about. First, we're going to focus a little bit on our Recruit Academy here that we just started a few weeks ago. And then we'll shift over to Amy in the police department and talk about the Pink Patch campaign and breast cancer awareness. Both of those topics I'm really looking forward to discussing with both of you. So let's dive right in. Chief Ludeman.
Yes.
We just sent 5 new recruits your way just the other week. How are they doing?
Doing good. Like you said, we started at the beginning of September. In our academy, we have 5 people that are coming through. We do a 7-week academy that covers all aspects of our job, from technical rescue, hazardous materials, structural firefighting, EMS, and the recruits are doing really good. The first week or two is always a little bit of a learning for both of us, both us as the instructors and them as the recruits going through it and figuring out what we want from them and what they need from us. They're doing really good. So far we've covered a lot of hose pulling with them and getting that done this week. We started in the EMS and technical rescue portions. We'll be going into some driver safety. We've got a week-long driver safety coming up in 2 weeks.
That's great. One of the things that I think a lot of our viewers may not know is what does it take currently under the current system for a firefighter to apply, come into the Prescott Fire Department, and then what do we do in terms of training? Because I think after we talk about that a little bit and inform our public, we should probably shift a little bit to what our future plans look like. But for now, what does that look like?
Yeah, so right now we have Firefighter 1 and 2. It's a college course, semester and a half, depending on the college that you're in, is one of the main requirements. It's a state-level certification that is a national standard kind of all across the country that we require them to have to come in. We also require them to be EMT certified and also hazmat certified, hazardous materials certification. One thing that we have kind of gone away from last year was the first year we did it, we used to require a basic wildland firefighter certification. And we've done away with that so we can teach that in-house. Those are the requirements that we currently require. It's about a year and a half of schooling if you take all those classes concurrently.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting because in our first episode of Facebook Live, Chief Brambilla and Brandon Nunez, our HR director, we covered a little bit of the recruiting trends that are really impacting the general workforce, but especially public safety. And you mentioned quite a few requirements that a person would have to have in order to even be able to apply. And that speaks to the fact that over the last 10 to 20 years, we've seen a dramatic shift in the way that public safety recruitment works. We used to have people beat the door down, so to speak, and we had plenty of candidates to choose from, and the pre-entry requirements were easy for us to put out there and still get a really highly qualified and ample pool of applicants. But that's changed, and so we're starting to have conversations of how to shift our focus, bring more qualified people in, and you and I have had great conversations about us feeling very strongly about hiring for character and training for skill, which would force us to kind of look at our pre-entry requirements. Tell me a little bit about what you think generally about those pre-entry requirements, and also what we're doing in partnerships with CAFMA and what they're currently doing.
Right. You hit it on the head. Back when I got hired and you got hired, I think I had 350 people looking for an eligibility list without a known position when I was going through it. And this last year this last test, sorry, we've had a few tests in the last couple of years. This last test, we had 50 qualified applicants that were invited to come for the written test. Out of that, we had about 30 show up to the written, and then we took 20 to the interviews and had a list of about 15 people off of that interview list. So this is a trend that's happening not just in our department, not just in our state, it's kind of all the way across the country. A lot of it is education, putting money forth to education without a known or a guaranteed job, right? And even a lot of it is not sure if they really want to get into that field. So we're looking at potentially, hopefully, having our own teaching academy. So we call it a green academy. That's where I would like, and you, what we've discussed, would like to see going forward in the future. One of the problems with that is having the person power from our department to put that on, and that's something we're going to have to work on to get it going.
And I know, Amy, you guys are facing a similar challenge over at police. We heard that you had 12 apply, and it kind of whittled down to a list of 3, and so very difficult times.
Feel that same pain, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So we're searching for new methods, new resources, new outreach to try to find folks that maybe have never thought about a career in public safety, fire, or police, and try to reach those folks in a different way to get them in and be curious and find out about a career in this field. So, we're facing the same problems.
No, it makes perfect sense. And it actually speaks to the fact that police and fire here in Prescott have this joint Facebook Live episode, right? And the question is, geez, most places police and fire don't get along. Not only is that an expectation here that we collaborate like this, but especially when we're facing crisis. I don't want to say crisis because I think that puts the wrong word out there, but challenges around recruitment. When we get together and do that as a team, it helps us solve those challenges, and I think that's very important for our viewers to understand is how our public services here do collaborate very, very well for the common good. Now, and another question for you, Chief. You'd mentioned a little bit about the Green Academy and starting to expand into the idea of us in-housing that academy and having to increase our staff to be able to cover that. Tell me a little bit about what you do on a regular daily basis, and then what your responsibilities are and what your staff is. I mean, obviously right now we have an academy going on. How do you work through that, and what do you think in the future we would need in order to comfortably support that?
Right. So basically it takes a full-time person to teach and mentor these people, and that's just the person that oversees it, that's dedicated to nothing else but that academy. And with that one full-time person, we'll need probably 2 other people there daily, pumping trucks, doing logistical support, things like that. And you mentioned my office and what I have. It's basically me as a one-person show, and we do share an administrative person through multiple divisions in our department. So,
And what else are you responsible for? I mean,
well, obviously administrative stuff. I do all recruitment, retention, promotional. I am the department PIO as well, trying to get that up and running. Everything from maintenance at the training center to actual hands-down teaching people at the training center, building lesson plans and stuff like that.
Yeah, and speaking of the training center, since I've gotten 6 months ago, you and I have had a continuous conversation about the condition of the facility. How old is our training center currently?
Well, there's been some props that were there before this, but our tower was, I believe there's a date on it from 1978, that when they poured it, and there's a stamp up there with a peace sign in the top, so that's kind of the era that it's from, and it's looking like it these days. We're maintaining it as we can.
Yeah. And with me some pretty exciting plans of how we can improve the current facility as well as how we could potentially incorporate into regional training. We made some compromises this year during our capital budget and moved it out for 1 year, but it's still our intent, obviously, to hopefully get into some of the more substantive improvements on that training center as early as next fiscal year. And I think that's something that our viewers also would be interested in knowing, that it's not just going to be an asset for the city of Prescott. Because of our relationship with CAFMA, it would be a regional asset that we're planning on, shaping sort of a more public safety minded training structure. Our police department has the range at that same facility, and so there's tons of possibilities for us to collaborate with others. So when do these new recruits graduate?
October 21st will be their last day in the academy, so they go through all the training that they do. The last day that we have them in the academy, we'll put them through a live fire burn. We're kind of the funnest part of our job, right? We're here to fight fire, and we do all this other stuff that kind of distracts from the fire side of things, but it's the last day to actually see their performance, all the training that they've done, shape it up in kind of a somewhat controlled, dangerous situation, and be able to see how they handle it. And with that, kind of celebrate the end of their academy. And then the day after that, as early as the day after that, they could be starting on the floor.
That's phenomenal. And then on October 28th, just so the public knows, at Station 71, we'll be doing their official badge pinning, along with some other promotions. We've got some battalion chiefs, some captains, and some engineers to promote, which is pretty exciting as well. Some great citizen recognitions that we'll talk about a little bit different, or in different channels. But with that said, thank you for all the work. Having worked in a fire academy before, I recognize the blood, sweat, and tears that go into it. Your position is tireless right now. It's, I sometimes liken it a little bit to having a newborn. It's long days, lots of hard work, but it's a labor of love, and it, in this case, eventually has a really positive impact on our residents, because it pumps out these firefighters that are just such special people, not just when we hire them, but also obviously when they become technically competent and help us with our emergency response mission here in the city of Prescott. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, so let's shift gears a little bit here. So we've got October coming up. So let's talk a little bit about the Pink Patch Project. Give me the history. What's sort of our background? What's been the involvement here at the City of Prescott, and how does the Prescott Police Department participate?
Absolutely. This is my second Pink Patch Project. I just came on board to the City of Prescott last year, kind of came in, really hit the ground running in August, and started off planning this amazing event. It is all month long. As we all know, that October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and Prescott Police Department has participated in the Pink Patch Project for 5 years. This is our 5th year, so I brought our newest patch. It's kind of special for the 5-year mark. Pink Patch Project is a national program to bring awareness and raise funds for breast cancer treatment, awareness, and continued education about this disease that, unfortunately, it's the common thread amongst most people. They know someone, or it's affected their family or themselves directly. So it does have a very close to home history. Several years ago, 2 wives of Prescott Police Department members were affected by this disease. And as you know, being in public safety, your coworkers are your extended family. So they felt that they needed to do something, whether it was making food, being there for childcare, but unfortunately it comes down to a lot of funds are needed to help these families. So they worked with the Prescott Police Foundation, those wonderful folks, and they created a patch and sold it, made it available to the public to start a collection, and it did. It started a collection. I've already gotten calls on our newest patch. Do you have it in yet?
Show it off to
yes,
our viewers a little bit.
pretty excited.
So, yeah, that's great.
So 5 years ago with that first patch, they were able to raise money for these families and officially started their involvement in the Pink Patch Project. And since then, we've been able to continue it and build on it. And it really is a collector's item now. We have all 5 patches displayed in our station. And like I said, folks have already been calling, emailing, coming in, sending their donation. And it's just an amazing project to be part of. It really, really is. As we know, we have the Breast Care Center at Dignity Health YRMC East right here in our community. And so that partnership with our Prescott Police Foundation, that's where our money goes.
Yeah.
And we're just really excited. I have a dollar amount in my mind that I want to reach, and I can't wait to see where we go this year.
So what you're telling me is we'll be able to see some of our finest sporting this patch, correct?
Yes. This patch and of the 4 other options that we have, they wear it on their uniforms. You'll see personnel donning lots of pink. So if you own pink shirt, pants, hat, shoes, dust it off, iron it up, get it out, wear it all month long. And then thanks to Auto Trim, they do a wrap on one of our police cars, and it's usually a giant pink ribbon. You can't miss it. So we drive that around to all the events. We've scheduled some events. The schedule is almost set, so I'll be able to share that very, very soon on social media and on the website. And we're going to be up all over town and showing up with the patches, with lots of other breast care awareness information, how to get a hold of the folks over at the Breast Care Center, Dignity Health. And the events are where it's probably one of my favorite parts, because we actually get to talk directly with the public. As you can tell, I like to talk with people. I did not expect last year to talk to so many survivors. So this year I had to remember to bring my tissue box, because we sit there, we have a moment and share, and they always thank us for being out there. And then this is when you know you're doing a good thing, when you get to meet people who say thank you. This helps me directly. So it's kind of immediate gratification on our end. But like I said, we're going to be out and about. We're very, very busy October planned, and we'll see how many people we can meet, how many patches we can get out there.
Yeah, we'll be joining right in with our own pink shirt campaign. So, you know, a lot of folks sometimes don't recognize that one of the key hazards in firefighting is actually cancer. And I'm so happy to see that nationally, as well as on the state level, breast cancer is becoming a presumptive cancer in firefighters. And that is something that is so important, I think, because for a long time, because firefighting was such a male-dominated profession, really sometimes that gets overlooked. And so it's awesome for us to also, you know, continue our efforts to help with this terrible disease and really occupational cancers in general. Now, you mentioned something that I want to kind of get back to you with, and that's building the program. Give us a little bit about your out-year visions. I mean, we're talking about 2022, but what do you got big plans? What does it look like?
I really feel that the Pink Patch Project should be something that we can continue to promote all year round. October comes and we kind of cram it all into 31 days. Luckily, we get 31 days in that month. I think they did that on purpose. But I really would love to get more interest, more involvement, more interaction, and just keep that momentum going all year long. It's a great way to sort of to stir it up in the month of October and then going into the holidays, but it is something when folks are dealing with this, it is all year round. And I know that there are lots of other types of cancers and lots of other diseases, but if it gets people interested in their own health and the health of others and things that we can do just on a day-to-day basis to make ourselves healthier, and if we are confronted with this type of situation, then we can meet it head on, and hopefully they have a support system. And that's another part of what the Breast Care Center provides, is that support system. So they really need our help all year long.
Yeah.
So the personal goal for me is just to make great patches every year that people just cannot wait to get their hands on.
That's fantastic.
So yeah, pretty excited about it.
Yeah, that's such a great reminder, especially for diseases like this, that those fortunate of us that aren't directly impacted by it right now, the folks that are dealing with it deal with it far longer than just the Awareness Month, and even after they're in remission and cured. These are things that still continue to need support after somebody luckily, hopefully, gets over the cancer. So it also gives me an opportunity right now to showcase you just a little bit, right? Here in public safety, the folks with the uniforms tend to take most of the thunder all the time. And you are a civilian in our police department. What do you do at the City Prescott Police Department? And we'd love to talk about that just a little bit.
I just celebrated, it'll be 14 months with the City of Prescott.
Congratulations.
So I'm very, very excited. They've been just tremendous to work with. And you mentioned the relationship with the fire department. I feel that with every division in the city. It truly, truly is being a new person and being new to the community itself. So I had a lot to learn. But my title is a Community Outreach Liaison. And so I kind of dawned myself as the party planner, the fun person, the go-to girl for great ideas and putting them on paper and making a plan and executing it. And of course, it always involves people and the community. So we've got our Citizens Academy. Our Police Citizens Academy starts next week. It's the Fall Academy. I do have 2 spots still open. So give me a call. So that runs for 6 weeks, and citizens get to learn all about the police department and really meet and greet those, the city's finest.
Yeah.
Present company excluded, of course.
Of course.
Yeah. So we've got that going on, and then obviously Pink Patch for the month of October, and then we'll be going right into Shop with a Cop, which is another
so much fun.
just amazing program. So maybe I'll have to come back.
Yeah.
Did I just set myself up?
Exactly.
Okay,
I
good.
would say so.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
But all year round, I want to promote to our citizens that they really can make themselves safer every single day with just little things. And I would love to talk to people about that, making their homes safer when they're out and about driving during the holiday season. Anything that just helps people be safer and live a great life in this great community.
And that's such an important part of this thing, right? I mean, to be proactive and community focused, especially in a community like Prescott, where I think that community connection will help us, not just at the end of the day with reducing crime and having good numbers in a report, but I think it also builds that confidence. We're so fortunate here that we've got a great relationship with our citizens, that they support us, and your role in that is extraordinarily vital to make sure that keeps growing. So thank you on behalf of all of us for doing that important work. So that really is kind of what we wanted to talk to you all about today. I really appreciate Amy and Scott being here to share some of these great things that we're working on. Look for us again next month. We'll be back with another episode right towards the end of October, getting ready for Halloween. Maybe we'll do a little bit of a spooky theme. Until then, please make sure you reach out, follow us on social media, and you know where to find us on the web. We're always happy to participate in any of your community events. Be safe out there, and we'll talk to you soon.